So, welcome back to the channel. So, first things first, if you are watching this after the 16th of January 2026, the Bristol Cable would have put an article out about the Think Family database, which is the worst AI created in the world, which they're trying to trial out in Bristol. So, we're going to give some information now, but we're also waiting for the article to come out. And when it comes out, we will give some more information on it, stuff that we've seen, stuff that we've already said, and going into further depths. So, just for now, what you're seeing up on the screen here, this is the Bristol government website. This is what we're talking about today, the Think Family database. And as you can see, they've been thinking about it since 2015. It's a database and it's also an application. And as you can see here, the database goes across the City Council, Avon and Somerset Police, Department of Education, Work and Pensions, Bernardo's, NHS, and there's also some more which you'll see going throughout this video. So I'm here with Shakara. She did loads of research over the last week. She sent it to me a couple of days ago. I've got some stuff with it, but I'm going to let her start giving the introduction to this website here, the Think Family.
Okay, yeah, hello. So this is kind of like, I guess, a summarial article that goes through some initial testing that Think Family Database did. They talk about what the aims of the project were. They give some testimonials about some of the people that have used I guess, the database to action things that would have helped kids in like a school environment. It has, yeah, these testimonials, which are really interesting because I guess maybe because this is a summary, there is not much detail in it. However, these testimonials are really interesting because they kind of say things that are a little bit concerning. So the implication here is that the child doesn't, the teacher's keeping an extra eye on the child and then using the information from this database to do things like perform welfare checks and so on. But there's kind of like a atmosphere of secrecy here where it's like the kids don't have to know about it, or the family doesn't have to know about it. They don't have to know what's going on or where the information's come from. And
Mhm.
then they can use that to contact mom or say the kids have not been in school for a week. But the problem I have with this is that I'm not sure the database is necessarily super helpful here because the teacher would know if the kid's been in school for a week or not. So I think in reading this makes me think about things like, oh, function creep, and like,
Yeah.
which is kind of how the sort of initial aims of something can kind of get out of hand because there's not clearly defined boundaries on how that data is used and where it's supposed to go. And also the fact that because the data comes from so many different agencies which require specialist knowledge, like how these people are interpreting the specialist knowledge,
Yeah.
that's quite concerning for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. And in my head, I've got some more inflammatory opinions about why it's been created this way. But we're gonna keep it short on this video, just in light of there being a whole article that we want to read. Because we'll link we'll link these particular articles so you can read them yourselves as well. The whole thing's disgusting, to be honest. But as Shakara said, this is, I think, one of the most worrying statements inside of this one, where it says it just keeping an extra eye on them. You don't have to say that you know this information. That makes no sense. Why the secrecy? That's weird. And what you're saying about the training. So people who aren't, somebody's going to get data from an organization that they wouldn't be qualified to work in, i.e., a teacher getting police data, but now you're the person who holds these secrets. Why? Based on what? Based on what training? Like, but so we're going to move on to the next document. So this was the other one that Shakara sent to me. So can you give a quick insight into where you got this, what this one is?
So this is like, if you scroll down a bit, data insight and information strategy. It's kind of I would, maybe a dossier is a good word, that outlines the objectives and aims and plan of the 24-month plan to make Bristol a data-driven, or Bristol City Council a data-driven organization.
Hmm. which
essentially.
is super interesting because if anybody knows anything about the council, as an organization, there is no advantage being driven in terms of how we, the citizens of the city, are interacting with the city. Like AI is not helping. Like we're not getting any quicker um, answers from the council based on AI. We're not getting a AI driven filtration system in terms of how to like quantify which areas are most needed as it relates to like different parts of the city. So we're not getting any sort of specialist treatments in terms of the areas that you live in that are using AI. So they
Mhm.
say become a data-driven organization, but we've not seen it anywhere which actually benefits the individuals. But now they've got this whole back end that apparently is going to help us. And oh, it's here now.
Yeah, this is interesting.
So Shakara highlighted this one, and I think this is the most well, one of the most damning things in this document. So what this shows here is their own definitions of information, data, insights, and analytics. Now, to be
Yeah,
fair, when you're making a document like this, it does sometimes um, like prove helpful to clarify these things, even though you would assume it would just be like dictionary definition, but sometimes it does provide some more insight. The most interesting thing about this one, though, is where it says insight, their description, their definition is provided by modeling data and using visualizations to tell a story about why something happened. So here they're literally telling you that they're going to make up the story about why something has happened. Because it didn't say that the model is going to give you the story.
no.
So the model is going to give you the data, then using visualizations, they're going to tell a story about why something happened. And they go on the past, present, and future are incorporated into the analyzing the data.
Which
How,
Loki kind of, sorry to interrupt, it
yeah,
sounds very profile adjacent to
I
me.
mean, how are you going to incorporate the future without this being fictional? The whole point is they've just told you that they are going to make up the story about what this data means. That's always been
Yeah,
the dystopian issue, and they're telling you here this is actually how it's going to work. They're telling you by accepting this, you accept that somebody gets to control the narrative.
yeah,
So the insight includes the ability for users to filter data. So not only are they going to be able to make up a story, but they're going to be allowed to keep whatever they want out of the story. So
yeah,
they can filter the data. They can say, oh, because this bit of data doesn't go with the story that we're trying to tell, it includes the ability for users to filter the data, allowing exploration of possible scenarios.
yeah.
Of possible scenarios. Okay.
Very
So
profile heavy like language. And I think it's also concerning because like these definitions aren't at all technical, but they're technical words. Data is a technical word.
yeah,
Information is also a technical word, and analytics. I think it doesn't really like bring about much clarity on what they I guess maybe it does, but it doesn't bring about technical clarity. It's
no.
quite as like a wordy, superfluous sort of like definitions of these words that is more that brings up for me at least more concern about what they're doing and how they're doing it rather than peace of mind, as in, it would be helpful to define insight on a more technical level
Yeah, exactly.
because it would give more transparency about what type of insights are being gleaned from the data that they've collected and processed.
Yeah. So again, this is a whole document full of a lot of mess.
Yes, though.
But we will wait until the article comes out. And one of the things that Shakara had said is about this complete lack of technical insights or descriptions anywhere in any of these documents. So again, what we'll do is we will wait for the article to come out tomorrow because the university has attempted in multiple ways to get some more technical information. And then when we actually see what they've retrieved, we'll come back to these documents and maybe if Shakara's got time, she will show you like page by page how it's almost like there's a purposeful lack of technical insight so that there's nothing concrete for you to be able to get on. Because as we've shown you here, they're actually trying to create this in a way which means that they can then just make up the story as it goes on. But we will move on to the next one. Do you want to do the training one or the I intelligent?
Um, what's the training one?
The training document.
Oh yeah. I think this would be good since you're on it.
Yeah. So, this, as far as correct me if I'm wrong, but effectively, is this being sent to people who are being paid, who are being trained to use the Think Family app? Is that what you saw it as?
That's the impression I got because I was thinking about GDPR and how I don't know, they seem to be skirting a lot of the GDPR lines, and
Hmm.
how they're doing that, I guess, is like you have to provide training. I think, especially if you're like giving people access to such sensitive data. So I
Yeah.
found it when I was looking for, yeah, how they're kind of managing to like work through some of the GDPR like issues that seem really obvious in the work that they're doing with the database.
Yeah. So this is one of the interesting things I've seen about this one here. So the what is it? Child, what is the CV? What does it stand for? Child and Family View. That's what this is, the Child and Family View. And so, oh, I've just passed it now. So here it says the vulnerability indicators. And so what I found interesting about this one is this one included um, universal credit
That's
and
interesting.
GP registrations. So one thing that I find interesting about all of these is there's not been one of these lists that has listed every single one of them. Like some of them list some of them and some of them list other ones. So universal credit is obviously like a very private view into finances because the next level after universal credit would literally just be we go to your banks. We just
Yes.
get your bank and see how much money you've got. Like,
And also with Universal Credit, they have a lot of information about like your not just like, oh, how much your rent is. They have a lot of information about your like financial, like
yeah,
specifics about your financial situation.
yeah, 100%. So, but that's why I just thought, it's funny how this wasn't mentioned on anything front facing because obviously it's
Yeah.
not that it's the universal credit, it's the fact that like that's money. It's the only thing that is actually directly about like how much money do you have. So literally, they're now
Yeah.
going to be highlighting you because you don't have enough money. Like, okay, fine. And then GP registrations, just because on one of them I'd seen that it said NHS. But again, now this is scaling down even more. So, okay, NHS, it's invasive, but it's also like a big overarching institution like the policing. So it's kind of like, okay, it's bad, but this is where we are. But this is just showing you that, okay, in reality, what is it that they're not getting the information on? You know? So again, this document has loads of stuff worth seeing in there, and we will link it. But for this one here, we're going to move on to the next thing. I really want to talk about this. Yeah, it's just too much. So this was a very interesting thing that you found and that you sent
Oh
over
yeah.
to me. Do you remember, was it on this one that it mentions it?
Now it's from the dossier, like that 31-page document about the strategy. Yeah. So like they've given the sort of, I guess, contract to this company called Intelligent, which is a data solutions company that I guess present analytical solutions for the data that you give them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've done work with other councils, but it's interesting.
Yeah, so this is the website of the people who are technically
Yeah.
creating all of these things. And what was the really interesting thing that I wanted to show? There was something, was it at the bottom of just when? No, it was on a different
It was
page.
detailing, yeah, I think it was about the work that they've done. So I think it was
So,
activity.
okay, so we've managed to find it. We've got it. So basically, it was in one of the articles, and it's talking about protecting children from a life of crime. And it was just interesting to us because this is where it overtly talks about gang related activity in the area, community risk factors, poverty, and gang related activity in the area. And
Yeah.
so it's just how, oh, this is the one because this has got the NLP natural language. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Um, we've just already seen that they are making something where they get to make up the story and they get to filter the information. So now you start putting gang stuff in there, and you think somebody who's never been involved in gang activity is now going to make up stories about how gang activity relates to other things. So obviously, there are areas where they do have problems with gang related activities. But the question is how is this AI going to help? Nowhere, as far as I've seen, does it have, oh, and then we can use AI to alleviate problems. Then we can use AI to sort, like, nowhere. They're talking about identifying things. And it's what you're saying. It's just profiling. It's just a way for them to quantify their profiling activity, which, again, there's ends like this to me personally seems like the perfect tool for a certain type of predator. And it's just worrying that in nobody's websites do they mention safeguarding anywhere. Not even
Yeah.
like a not even like a cliche cookie cutter sentence to say, oh, and of course we safeguard like this. They didn't even lie about safeguarding. They just haven't even presented it.
Yeah.
So again, go through this whole thing. There's loads of stuff in there. We will read the Bristol cable article
Yeah.
and we'll get back to you. Um, Shakara went in deep. Shakara's got names. She's got names of people. But I said, you know, and we were gonna come with names, but I just thought, let's just wait and to see what the Bristol cable says, you know, because I know it's gonna be to a good standard, and then we just get the opportunity to see. So if the names that we've got are not the names that are mentioned, then we're still gonna tell you. But basically, but I think that Bristol, well, this is something where we do need to do something cohesive with each other. I don't know, there isn't a call to action here. My only call to action is to go and read the Bristol Cable article. And I'm going to be looking to that to think of some next steps because ultimately this thing's already in use now. And not only do we need to stop it for the sake of Bristol, but as I said in the previous video, Bristol is the test bed for certain surveillance technologies, as is
Yeah.
the whole of the UK. We already know that the fictional version of the dystopia with Big Brother watching you, we all know that that's actually London. You know, like every time they show that, they're showing a version of London. And so we're like living in it now. And, you know, all of the big, like the 10, 11 biggest cities inside of the UK all have London level functionalities as it
Yeah.
relates to our policing and all the rest of it. So we're all being tested to some degree, and we need to just show them the test that no, you've gone too far and we don't accept it. Um,
Yeah.
so before we leave, Shakara, is there anything you want to leave them with?
I would say that something that would be good is to kind of like use AI to your advantage in the sense that you can just get a summary. Like, obviously, these articles sometimes take time to read, but you can just ask chat like some AI, what are the red flags in this document? Like, what things should I be concerned about as it relates to like my data, and how can they use this to kind of exploit me or profile me or the people that I know. And it gives some really interesting things that might help you kind of get a broader perspective on what's going on and how it's actually can be harmful for like everyone.
Yeah, that is a really, really good and poignant point that if you put these documents inside of an AI, as commercial as ChatGPT, as mainstream as ChatGPT, it will tell you what is being said is worrying. So
Yeah,
that's it's saying that we have an AI that AI doesn't trust. We have an AI that AI says, I don't know how this is legal.
yeah,
Um, but we will get back to you and we will go in depth with some of these and maybe Shakara will show you some of the insights that she's got from ChatGPT itself about some of the big issues here, and we'll explore the world of function creep because I think that's the nice way of saying it. But it's definitely a concept that you need to get your head around in the first place about
Yeah.
how the the functional use of things get extended. Because I think to leave you with what a lot of people who aren't inside of the tech industry don't understand is that a lot of quote unquote cyber attacks and cyber breaches are actually human beings just making a decision. So
Yeah.
might be under a cyber attack, and what that was is an employee that's not really that happy got £500 to give his password over. So if you apply that to all of this, I think it's more than neglectful, let's say. But happy reading of these documents, happy reading of the Bristol cable, and we will see you in the next video.
Yeah. Like, share, and subscribe.
Go, finish, let's go.